really have to, you got to go in and do a test flight and get things where you want them to be. If you're literally learning someone else's setup as opposed to doing something that feels natural. You might want something in a little bit different position. So yeah, that I'm a lot of people are like, "Oh, it's going to be so tedious." I'm like, I can't wait. I think it was Ghost that was complaining the other day because he was having some trouble with his wheel setup for NASCAR, and so he was watching, some tutorials and stuff from other people, and he was like, "Oh man, it took me, hour, 2 hours to get everything set up right." Oh yeah, and it is. It can be a frustrating, tedious process, especially if you can't get things to work the way you want them to. But oh, especially the ones I'm looking at with WindWing. I mean, it's going to be straight up like learning a new airplane, especially when we start doing DCS. I have to relearn a checklist, gonna have to relearn all the speeds. Like, it's definitely gonna be that in depth. That's what I've been trying to like learn along the way. Like, how deep is it? Like, do I literally need to, start studying again? Like, yeah, I think I probably will have to. Which is fine. It'll be fun, especially if it means we're going to be flying an F-18 or a, any jet, F-15, any of them. Shit, yeah. That'll be fun. Helicopters will be interesting because they can be tricky to fly, but it looks like people do it relatively easily, so I'm sure I'll be fine. Smart munition binds, yeah, I'm sure for that too. Because, yeah, having those controls, I want to, especially switching to those targeting pods and stuff, I want to make sure they, because being quick with that, especially in this game, even in Sim, you got to have those binds to memory. Not just to memory, but to muscle memory. That shit has to be happening on the reactive. And that's what flight training is all meant for. That's why it takes so long, because they don't want to send you out there. You want to make sure you know what you're doing. Not to mention they're giving you a multi-million-dollar piece of machinery. But that's what I was telling people, Hugs. Even at Riddle, the 172, even a simple plane like that, it takes a good 3 to 6 months before you start doing things habitually, and even then still takes fine-tuning after that. 172 you can pick up a little quicker than that, but again, that was usually the time frame when I started looking like I knew what I was doing and not just like, okay, now, oh yeah, now we do this, and it was just pop, 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 pop. Now you're whipping through, and I think that's pretty true with any trade or any skill that you pick up on your jobs, or I'm talking to anybody. So yeah, whenever guys start new jobs and it feels frustrating, it takes a little time. Get settled in. Maybe one day we can just matrix that shit. Never was a gangster, just a graduated to one. What they concealing? 172, yeah, they do feel pretty slow. God, so they didn't scare me. 172 never scared me until I was on, and it was I was pretty late in my train. I want to say I was doing an instrument flight, and I was doing an instrument flight from Prescott to North Las Vegas and back, and I stopped in Kingman, and then kept on going. And after I stopped at Kingman, I was taking off, and on my way back to Prescott, so I was at pretty high altitude because you gotta, you know, it's naturally at really high altitude there. So I had been talking with a buddy prior to that flight, and we were drinking and whatnot. He's like, "Oh, well, this is how you do a barrel roll in a Cessna." I'm like, "Oh, that sounds really easy." So here I am on my solo on the way home. Let's try a barrel roll. Fucking damn near killed myself. Flight bag hit the roof, stuff's going everywhere, the plane's over speeding, I'm freaking out. Oh god. Ever since then, a 172 makes me a little nervous because I know it's possible to get it in a... Up until that point, all the stalls and spins and things that we've done, you start to feel like, you know, you get almost that false sense of security, right? Yeah, you can still get yourself in trouble. And a 154, yeah, that starts getting a little too small. Especially if you're a bigger dude. You start rubbing shoulders with the guy next to you, that's when even I'll start getting nervous. Like I said, Knight was in here, I've told, and you've probably heard me say it too, I never felt safe in a helicopter. Ever. Pretty much every airplane I ever flew, I you know, at least felt safe. I always felt like even if stuff went wrong, you know, we'll be all right. We got altitude, we can glide it in. As long as all the parts stay on, we're okay. There's some reason in a helicopter, maybe it's just because we're lower to the ground, but there's just so much stuff moving and vibrating, and it just feels like it's literally trying to shake itself apart. You're just like, God, I hope everything stays together. Never felt comfortable. Even in the bigger ones. Definitely felt better in that, but... Oh. Yo left, yo left, yo left, right, left. My instinct was to go after this guy. Damn it, I did it again. What am I doing? Getting too fancy. God, maybe I'm just gonna change this to grayscale. Seem to pick it up better when he's blacking out. What am I hearing? And what do you know, dude? It was totally that Star Trek game that was fucking up my audio. I can definitely hear the game better now. Good to know. I opened it up before the stream and just had it in the background for when I switched over, just because of what happened with Violet the other day. I was like, we'll just leave it open. It's just sitting there. I didn't even think that it would compensate for the audio. But it did. Believer. Nice job. Nice shooting. Can I shoot something, maybe? Well, I can shoot those, no problem. That was a prey shot. Bam, 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 1, 2, 3. 3 guys left. Are they all on their base? I guess so. We should have went straight to the airfield. We still got 9 minutes. We're golden. General rule of understanding and consent from that moment. A helicopter comes off the assembly line, and it's, yeah, no shit. It's the curse of her defiance. It's so true. I mean, there's a reason it took them longer to get a helicopter to fly than an airplane. And still, you still watch an airplane start up, or a helicopter, you know, start up, and then take off, and I still couldn't fully explain to you. I mean, I can explain to you how it's working, but it still doesn't fully make sense that those tiny little blades are generating enough lift to, you know, give it the characteristics that it needs. It's crazy. And the reality is it doesn't. You start getting it up to high altitude and you see that. That's why so many of them crash, you know, especially over there in Afghanistan and whatnot, because you're up there in those high altitudes in the mountains, and that's a helicopter's Achilles heel. You get it up into that high altitude thin air, and those blades don't grip, the engines don't function properly. You know, he knew exactly what to do. They do not like being in thin air at all. He's passed out to pull the trigger. God, we got to get this crew upgraded. This plane pulls too hard. Don't you dare pass out. Kidding me? I'm shooting right under him. Well, now you're gonna get missiled, motherfucker. I can't believe I just fucked that up. I can't play it any better. Said I always win the fight once I get my gun game where I want it to be. Damn it! Missed him by that much. I mean, let's be real. That guy should have left me in the dust. He just out fucking dogfight an F4 and a MiG-19. Should that have happened? That seemed like he should have been able to dance around me all day long. He should have been able to pull away from me. And he have more power? Well, you can see why. If I'd have had 50 more rounds, if I hadn't have gone after those ground targets and got frustrated, we would have totally killed that guy like 3 times afterwards. I was just slow enough to where I couldn't. When I was landed, I was pulling to try and get the rounds up a little bit more, and they were just falling short. And then when I finally got in there close enough, I was out. I expected him to keep slowing down. That's why I was trying to kill him so quick. If I'd have thought he was going to be stupid and just fucking fly around in front of me like that, I would have waited a little longer. It's one of the few times where waiting for that perfect shot bit me. Usually I'm waiting for it, and I don't take it. That time I was trying to actually hose him down, and it burned me. Figures. Will it really? That is news to me. Wow, you haven't shot any of your missiles yet? Or did you go back and land? Yeah, you just went back to base. I gotcha. Shake it, County. Yeah, that's surprising considering how kind of overpowered the F4 is.